Hello everyone. Is chat enabled today? I don't know why it is disabled, but one thing which I will do today. So I'll try to make it as interactive as I can. So I will just keep on, I'll not be on the writing pad for a very long time. I'll just try to have a look here so that you will not feel that you are watching a video lecture. All right. Sorry, a recorded video or anything. So in the previous one, we were talking about singleton design pattern. Sorry, we were talking about solid principles. So what I will do, I'll give you a quick overview about it, and then we will be looking since we didn't complete it. So I'll prefer to first of all complete it, and then we will be moving towards the previous one. So let me just give you a quick overview about it. But before that, can you people tell me what solid principles S says? Full form of S. And I understand like without chat, it becomes difficult for you to see the previous messages. So I'll try to keep it open on the screen. Perfect. So what the single responsibility says? Anyone like a quick revision? Very good. One task per class. So now, if you remember, I'll actually open the previous note so that I can give you a quick overview about it because we left it in middle. So from here, we started our solid principle. So in the solid principle, like this is something which a lot of people usually ask in the interviews. Plus, this is something which we use even in our day-to-day programming. So here, every letter stands for something. So your S stands for single responsibility principle. So what it is actually like, if you have to consider it in the real life. So if you have seen when we worked for a company, like I'll give you example from a company perspective only. So you must have seen we have dedicated people for each and every responsibility. We have admins who are going to be taking care of our they are going to be responsible for all non-development related activities. Like if they want to conduct some training and all, we are going to be going to our team admins and they are going to make all the arrangements for us. Similarly, we have some office boys and all. So if we need something, the office boys are going to be there for us to help us out. Similarly, we have testers. So their main purpose is just to test the applications. Developers' main purpose is to write down the development. Similarly, manager is going to be managing the things. If you will see, every person, even in the organization, is doing their own work. But at the same time, if you will see, like if I talk about developer, so developer is not just doing code all the time. Developer is also like he is also responsible for, let us say, deploying the code. At the same time, developer is also there for giving KTs to the entire team. Developers are also there to sometimes go through the trainings. And also, if you can see, one person can do multiple things, but all those multiple things should actually lie in one of the region. Like developer should not be doing the managerial activities. Manager should not be doing developer activities. So that is what I'm trying to say. We can do more than one things, but it should belong to the same area. The area should not be getting changed. Similarly, if you remember in the previous class, I gave you the example of hospital. So when I was giving you that example of hospital, so similarly, if you will see, let us say we have uh, some doctor, let us say ortho. So, ortho's responsibilities is to look for the bone related stuff. If you will go to an ortho and if you will ask some serious illness related to your stomach, he's not going to be helping you out. Who will help you out? Gastro. So that is how it is going to be there. Then I gave you what problems actually come when we try to club two things at the same time. So I gave you the example of a boat and a car. If you are going to be making it one, who is performing both of the things at one time. So in such a scenario, if one thing is breaking, other will also not be in the working state for us. So it will be useless. Similarly, like I'll give you one example. So let us say you as a person, when you are working in any of the organization, so let us say you are doing the developer activities as well as tester activities. If for any XYZ reason, if you're not available in the office for 10 days, if you are the only one who was taking care of both of the things, so your company is not going to progress in their work because they had a dependency on you. So I hope with the help of this, you're going to be understanding what I'm trying to explain. Any questions in this? So basically, why we perform all these things? To remove the dependency. The way I said, if you will have only one person, so if that person is not available, so like, if I'll tell you about my team, so what we do as a part of our team, we have various areas. So initially, since we were very less people in the team, so what we did, we picked three major areas. So my major area is accessibility in my team. So when I was not available, so the team was getting affected because who will address the bugs? Who will do the things? So what we decided that it's not going to work out in this manner. Let's do things in the round robin manner. So for one sprint or one quarter, I take one area. In the another one, I take another area and so on. So that is how everybody is knowing each other's work and nobody is getting blocked. So that is what everybody focuses on. If you have to talk about that dependency word in the terms of programming, so we refer it by the word coupling. So what coupling means? It means you have two, like we have two types of coupling here. So when we talk about your loose coupling, it means dependency is minimum. So if dependency is going to be minimum, it is going to be very helpful for us because even 1 second. So if you are going to be having less dependency, then you call it as loosely coupled because let us say if more than one person knows your work, so even if you're not in office for 10 days, nobody is going to get affected because other person is always there. But if it is a tight coupling, everything is going to get hampered. So that is what we refer by coupling. And that coupling is nothing but the relationship between the objects and all. So that is what we have to refer. So today what I will be doing, I am going to be showing you one class. I will be writing it down in front of you and I will be asking you, you tell me if it is loosely coupled, strongly coupled, everything you have to tell me there. All right. So before jumping into the code, let me first of all write it down here that what and all things I want to perform there. And before writing down the code, you tell me if it is loosely coupled or what. So let us say so here, let us say we have one employee class. Inside that, let us say we have one function, employee details. Then let us say we have one function which says calculate salary. one function, hire employee. Actually, I should be writing it like this. And let us say we have one function, evaluate employee. No code I have written so far, but just by looking at it, can you tell me if it is loosely coupled, tightly coupled, or what it is? And let me fix it. I wrote it in a wrong manner. Now, even if you will see here, we have only one class. In chat, is chat intentionally disabled? I'm not able to write. Uh, I do not know about this chat thing. I conveyed it to that, like the one person who is actually sharing the class links and all with me. I'll speak to him again. Okay. So after this class, I'll talk to him. Tightly coupled due to higher employee function. Why, Abhinav, why do you feel it is tightly coupled? If you want, I'll reduce the view so that you can see all the functions, and other people also. Please tell me, like, since like last class, I heard somebody was saying, like, I appreciate you gave a feedback that it is not interactive classes. So let's make it interactive now. Other people, what do you say? It is, if you will see, we are using only one class here. So do you feel, are we following single responsibility principle here or not? This is the question. Everybody tell me. And one more thing, if you people are saying yes, or if you are saying loosely coupled, tightly coupled, anything, you write one, like 2-3 words or one sentence why you feel it is like that. I'm actually making you people confused, like how it happens in the interview, because that is how you will understand. Okay, Abhinav. And Kundan, what makes you think it is single responsibility principle? Venkat, you too. And other people, where are the other people? We have 40 people in the class. All right. So Pankaj is saying this is only related for employee related thing. Other people, what do you feel? No reference of other class in this. Some people are right, and those people who are right, I really appreciate that you are able to understand the points, and those who are like little confused, perfectly fine. Like, I'm not expecting you to have understanding of anything, but still just wanted your views. Now, I share my screen, and let's just discuss about it here. So if you will see, total we have 4 functions. If you go ahead and look for your employee details, so this is something which like is going to be common for everyone. So if somebody is calculating your salary, they also need your details. If somebody is hiring an employee, they also need your details. If somebody is evaluating employee, they also need your details. So this is going to be common for all. All right. Now, if you will see what is calculate salary. So who is going to be calculating your salary in the organization? So finance team is going to be responsible for calculating the salary. So this is what is going to be handled by the finance team. All right. Now, if you will see who actually perform the hiring of the employees, your HR team is going to be responsible for hiring of the employees. Then if you will see, we have evaluate employee. So who is going to be evaluating the employees? So evaluation is going to be performed by the manager. So if you will see, these and all are the different things which we are performing in our class. Now, can you people tell me? All functions are dependent in the single class. That's why it is tightly coupled. Very good, Sankal. So, if you will see here, we have so many functions. Like I said, even if a person is a developer, it does not mean that he is going to sit there and write the code. He will also do some of the things, but everything should be related to the developer role. So what I'm trying to say is that too many functions does not indicate that this is a single responsibility or not a single responsibility. All right. So this point you clear in your head. Functions are not going to be telling you if it is going to be a single responsibility or not. Then when we talk about a single responsibility, so it means that it should be changed or impacted by only one actor per class. Okay, so now let me write down here. So for the SRP, what we want to do, for the single responsibility, what is our main thing? That we want one actor per class. So this is what we needed here. All right. Even if a class is going to have some different methods, let us say some 10 methods, 20 methods, still it can follow a single responsibility principle. Single responsibility does not mean that class should have only one method. So this is something which you have to keep in your mind. Single responsibility means it should be changed only for one reason, irrespective of how many methods do we have in the class. So I'll write here. We can say that there should be only one reason to make change. Irrespective of how many methods do we have. All right, now if you will go and look into this class. So you know what I will do? Actually, I'll write down the code before explaining it to you, because from that same class, I will be making certain of the changes at the later point. So let me quickly write down the code for the same. So I'm not writing down a lot of things in the function. I'll just keep it simple because let's save our time. So public void get details. Get employee details. Then let's create public void calculate salary. Then we will be creating one method, and that is going to be hire employees. And we had one more, that is so if you will see what and all things do we have, like if I have to call out any of the things, how will I do? In my program class, I'll have to create object of the class. And with the help of this object, I will be calling out all the functions. Get details, or if it is calculate salary, hire employees, and evaluate employees. Even if we are going to be running it, we will see the output. So getting an output is not going to be helping you if in determining if it is going to be a single responsibility class or not. Now, if you will look into this class, so if you will see, if I have to calculate the salary, so at that particular of time, I will go ahead and use this method. Like here, I'm just printing it, but in the actual one here, this is the place where I'm going to be writing down the logic for the same. So if you have to write it down, you are going to be writing it down here. And who is going to be responsible for all of that? Your finance team is going to be there. So the finance team is going to be interested into calculating the salary of the employee. Similarly, when a person, when they want to hire someone, at that particular time, they are going to be putting logic here. So the functionality which is going to be triggered by somebody, like let us say HR. So this functionality is going to be get used by your HR. And this is another division in the class, because this is doing by your finance team. This is something which is going to be get done by HR. Now, if you will see what is the next function which we have, that is your evaluate employees. So this entity is going to get triggered by another actor, which you can call it as manager. So if you will see here, what and all do we have? For one of the thing, we are having multiple actors. So who and all are actors here? Finance team, your HR, your manager. So if you will see, we have total 3 managers here. We have a single class employee, but if you will see, the change in this class is getting done by multiple entities. You can say multiple actors. And since all of them are going to be there in the single class, so the change which one person is going to be doing is going to be impacting the another one. And that is what is actually violating your single responsibility principle. So let us say somebody has to make your changes in one place. So that particular other one is going to get affected because of that. So like if you really understand the single responsibility principle, so what it says that the class should be changed by only one actor. Here, if you will see, finance people are also able to change. HR people are also able to change. Managers are also able to change. It means that the class is very fat. So what we say when a class is going to get affected by a lot of actors, we say this class is fat. And if you talk about the fat, so no matter if it is going to be there in the terms of your classes or it is going to be there in the terms of the health, in none of the ways it is going to be good. So here everybody is looking into their functions and all the functionalities are different from each other, but they are interrelated. So let us say we have finance team. So a finance team is going to perform some changes in the tax slab. So what is going to happen? The change in tax slab is going to be impacting calculate salary method. So even though that change has been done by the finance team, this person is going to get affected. But at the same time, this code is going to be responsible for deploying the entire code again. And in such a case, we have to redeploy the entire code. Why? Because if some changes are getting changed here, other things are also going to be affected, because the moment we are making changes here, if somebody else is going to make change here, what will happen? If you have seen, if you are working on any of the version controlling ways, some people use TFS, some people use Git or any other method. If you will see what happens if two people are making changes in the same file. So we will get merge conflict. And sometimes if we are not handling the merge conflict, what happens? The work which is done by somebody else is going to get overridden. So, and if we are going to be waiting for the other person that let one person do the team, let's one person do the work. So at the same time, the other two are going to be free. So that is what I'm trying to say, that how it is affecting your single responsibility. So even if you will see here, we are not making changes at any other levels. Still, they both are free and they cannot do anything. Even if they will do, we will have to make changes in such of the things. Now the question lies is, how can we make it single responsibility class? So any of you who can tell me, how can we make it single responsibility class? Guys, some suggestions. How can we make it single responsibility? Even if it is a wrong answer, perfectly fine. But I just want to hear out what your ways are going to be there. Now we know this class is not following. Okay, we had other messages. Oh no, just now came. Simply created class for each role. Creating new class and moving calculate salary and HR to different classes. We can encapsulate related functionalities in one class. Only place the functions related to single actor by defining all the functions in the respective. It's okay, Aditya, you use this Q&A. Like I'll get this chat thing addressed before the next class, but meanwhile we'll use it for the same. Very good, everyone. So this is how we are going to be doing it. So we are going to be splitting the responsibilities. So in this scenario, what we will be doing, what is the one thing which we have to follow? That is, a class should do only one thing. So what we will be doing, what was the class which we had? We had employee class. Now this employee class, we are going to be splitting it out based upon the different actors. So the first one which we will be having is going to be, let us say we have one class which is salary evaluation. Then let us say the second one which we have is employee hire. And let us say the last one which we have is employee evaluation. Now, if you will see who is the actor for this. So the actor for your salary evaluation is your finance team. The actor for your employee hire is your HR team. And the actor for your employee evaluation is going to be your manager. If overall, if you will see what we are doing, we are following single responsibility principle here. So we can say SRP followed here. Now I will show you how can we make changes in our code so that we can make it perform accordingly. So what we will be doing, now we are going to be creating some salary calculator class here. In this particular one, I'm going to be moving this method. All right. Now I'm going to be creating one more class, and the other one, let us say we have employee evaluator class. So here I am going to be putting my evaluate employee. Similarly, I will be creating one class. Let's call it as employee hiring. And here I will be putting this hire employee. And if you will see, what is the one thing which is left here? Get details. That particular one I will keep here because that is something which we should be having at the employee level. So this is how we have segregated our code into different classes based upon the different actors which we will be having there. Now, if you want to, just call out some of the things, how you will be doing, like one way is, instead of having this method get details, what is the one thing which we can do here? I'll just make it a constructor here because at the end, either I will return some object from here or I have to do something because I have to create a link between all. And let us say we are having two parameters here, name and employee ID. Two things we have. Okay. So I will have int employee ID. In this constructor, we are just going to be initializing them. So this dot name. This dot employee ID. So this is how we are initializing. Now, if you will have to call it out, what you will be doing, you are going to be creating the instance of your employee. So here, what we will do, we are just going to be providing some details. Let us say my employee name is ABC and the employee ID is 101. Now, when you will be calling out any of these different three actors, so what you will be doing, first of all, you have to create instance for the same. So let us say I want to create it for my calculate salary. And when I will be calling that method, I have to link it with these employee details also, right? So here, let me pass this EMP object. I will be making the changes there. Like this thing, I'm doing it so that I will have some link between both of them. Similarly, if you want to call out any other thing, let us say employee hiring. And with this EH, you can call, and here also you will be putting EMP. Like right now, we are not writing any code. So it is not going to affect the existing code, but usually we have to link it. So we will have to pass on these information at all of the places. Similarly, we can call out your employee evaluator. There also I will be passing this. And now what we can say that all of these things are now following your single responsibility. Now, if you will go ahead and see the code, it will be working in the same manner. Like since we're just having the print once, is this part clear to you all? For employee details, can we use inheritance concept? Yes, Ankal, you can do that as well. That is also going to be your single responsibility only. One way is like, again, for everything, we can have multiple implementations, right? So earlier I created one class, then I thought, okay, let's have a constructor because I was trying to avoid a lot of code here basically. So this is how we can go ahead and create it. Anyone who is not clear with any of these things, please ask. Then we'll have some overview about it before closing this topic. Then we will move to O of your solid. One bad thing about this Q&A is that I have to scroll, otherwise I cannot see. In the chat, at least I can see the latest chats. No, Aditya, not composition. When composition will come, right, I'll show you that as well. Or if you people need one overview about all this composition and all, so I'll give you one quick overview about that. We have to decide class on the basis of factors, or there are some factors. So Pankaj, it should be on the basis of factors. Like here, if you have seen, we created, let us say, employee hiring. So in the employee hiring, we can even put some other things like schedule interview, take the resume of the candidates, anything like up to us, what and all work we want to do. So basically here we are separating functions in a single responsibility principle. Correct. So we are separating the functionality based upon the actor, like who is going to be doing it. We are not letting everybody touch it. So you know what is going to happen, like how this is helpful. You know, everything is separated. So let us say only finance team has to work. So that work is going to happen here. Other code, we do not even have to redeploy. Similarly, if somebody is just evaluating employees, so just here we are going to be performing the action. If you will see in the main method, we are using it on the basis of objects only. So whatever changes is happening, so change is going to happen only at one place. Similarly, if you talk about the multiple classes, if people are working on multiple classes, so they will be making change only in one. So code conflict, merge conflict, nothing is going to happen. So Shashank, in almost all of the scenarios, single responsibility is helpful. And even if you will see, like, you know, you must have done some code, or if you are working, you will be having your office code. Just go and try to look into your code with this concept. So, you know, like I'll tell you, when I was understanding this solid and design patterns, right? Before that, I could see code, but I always used to ask my architects that how can you decide how it is going to be like that? But once I got the understanding about all these principles and patterns, then it became easy for me to understand that what triggered them to include it in the code and in what way. Yes, Venkat, even with the SRP, you can achieve it. Even with the inheritance, you can achieve it. Because if you will see, we are having different classes based upon the actors. How they are going to be linked with each other, that is not going to make any difference. Can we create an interface for every class to maintain their services? Yes, Dharmendra, that also you can do. So if you see in Solid, we have something like I. So related to interface and all, I'll be covering in that I. Okay, so let's now quickly have the quick revision of about SRP. And if you people need some quick revision about the composition and all, do mention it here. I will be covering it up. But do not get confused between all of these concepts. So when we talk about SRP, what is our main motive? That what do we want to do? That is, one class should change only if, like I'll actually write down. So we can say one class should change only if it is one instructions per entity, or you can say actor. So even if you will take a real life example, so let us say you want, let us say you are there in your family. If they will assign you lot of work at one time, you are not able to do it, correct? You can do it only when it is of same type. So let us say you are going to buy groceries. If let us say your parents are asking you to get something from the grocery store, at the same time if your siblings or your friends are asking you to get something from the grocery store, it will be easy for you. But if let us say one person is saying you get this grocery, other person is saying you get in go and get those shoes or something. So in let us say, and you have only 1 hour, so in 1 hour you cannot do each and everything, you can do only one of that thing. So that is how you can consider it when we are talking about one instruction per actor. And if it will have more than one actor, then what we can do? So we can say if class has more than one actors, then break them into total number of actors. So here, let us say here how many actors we had? 3 actors. So what we did, because we had 3 actors, we broke them into 3 classes. And similarly, like I gave you the example of grocery and let us say picking shoes from the market. If you will, instead of giving everything to one person, if you will give it to 2 person, so in 1 hour, you can get 2 things done. So SRP says that every software module should have only one reason to change. This means that every class or similar structure in your code should have only one job to do. I'll actually write it down because some of the theory also you should be needing for this. So SRP says, because one thing which I have seen, we do not get enough material online as well for everything. Every software module should have only one reason to change. This means that every class or similar structure in your code should have only one job to do. Everything in that class should be related to a single purpose. It does not mean that your classes should only contain one method. there may be many methods as long as they are related to single responsibility. Like I gave you the example of grocery. If one person is going to grocery store, does not matter who and all are giving instructions to get the stuff from the grocery store. And this particular one is actually going to be very helpful when you are going to be making it work in the term of your project and all. So every class should be doing only one responsibility at a time. All right, any questions in this particular one? All right. Do you people need some overview about the composition and all? Where we can implement the solid front end or back end. So Pankaj, even if let us say you're talking about some front end. So there also what I believe, we do single responsibility only. So let us say you are creating a form, and in that form, let us say you want to create a form for just login. So that form is going to be a different one. Sign up is going to be a different one. So there we follow it. And when we talk about from the backend, so there also we follow it in the same manner. So let us say you want to create a class, and in that particular class, you want to put the information related to only one actor. So then we go ahead and perform it in the same way. All right. All right. So a lot of people need it. I'll give you a quick overview about all these things. And Vikas stat is disabled for everyone. So please bear with us. All right. So Aditya, let's do one thing. Since you want every of the thing like association, composition, and aggregation. So let's quickly take a break. And after break, we are going to be firstly doing a quick overview about all of these things. And then we will be moving into our O of solid. Okay. So right now it is 8:53. Let's meet again at 9:10. All right. And for this chat thing, like let me get in touch with the iNeuron team now only. All right, guys, then let's meet in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sorry. Hello. I got it. Why this chat is not enabled? This is a webinar. Please ask your team to create a meeting instead of webinar. Yeah, Pankaj, that's what I have informed them. Like they only said we created a webinar. I don't know why they are doing it that way. I cannot do it. And like last time when I called them in middle of the call, so they were saying that in middle of the session they cannot do it. And I reminded them for the next day when they create a link, it should be a meeting one. I'll anyway tell them again. Yeah, like you people asked, let me quickly tell you about composition. So there is the pencil. So when we talk about your what to say composition, so there is something which we use there. So that is something which comes under your relationship possession. I don't know if I last time referenced it at the time of explaining or not. Anyway, for everyone. All right. So let us say, like when we talk about a relationship, so what happens? You will have a girl and a boy. So what happens even in a relationship? Like what do we call it as a possessive relationship? Can you people tell me? What do you mean by a possessive relationship? Very good. So this is what we mean by a possessive relationship. And simping, like Gen Z word, right? So what do we mean by a possessive relationship? It in this particular relationship, a girl will feel that I possess the person, and a boy will feel that I possess this girl. In short, he will feel that this person is mine and I have full rights over that person. That is how it actually turns out into a possessive relationship. So what the girl is going to be feeling here, girl will feel that I have this boy. And boy will also feel in the same manner. So what is the thing have here? Similarly, like let's move to something else. So let us say we have a person and this person is having a car. All right. So what we will say, the person is possessing a car. If you have to write it down, what you will do, person has a car. So in short, what I'm actually trying to explain you is that we are using a has a relationship. So when we talk about the same in terms of your classes, so how we will say, so let us say we have two classes, C1 and C2. So if I have to talk about these two, if I will say this statement, class C1 has a C2. So what I understand by that, it means C1 possesses C2, or I can say C1 contains C2. So this is what is the meaning even when we talk about this has a relationship in terms of your classes. And let us say in any of the scenario, if this is going to be false, then that means that there is no relationship. So if any of these or any instead of any, let me say, and if it is false, that means there is no relationship, because we can determine relationship only with this particular one. So even if I talk about the real girl and boy relationship, so if they're not going to have a girl or a boy, there cannot be a relationship, right? Similarly, if here the person and car is not at all there at the first place, there is no relationship. So similarly, if you're not following these things, in such a case, we can say that there is no relationship. All right. So now I'll take one example here. I'm not writing code on the compiler. Here only I'll write. So let us say we have a person. This person is having two fields. Let us say, I'm taking that same example only, car and all. Okay. So let us say person and let us say age. All right. And then I'll have another class. Let us say car. Here I will take, let us say, string model, and I'll take string name. So if I will say the person has a car, if I have this statement, person has a car. So in this particular one, we have this has a relationship, and it is going to be there only if your person will compose the car. So we can say, if it is true, then person will compose car. All right. So in such a case, if we want to relate person and car class, in order to do this, what we will be doing, we should be having a class car instance inside your person class. So this is what we want. And how can we achieve it? By putting car instance here. So if you have such a relationship, what we can say? We can say this is your composition. Why? Because person class is composing the other class. So this is what we mean by composition here. So if we go and put one class inside the another one, so that particular one is called it as composition. Similarly, if I have to show you one more code, so let me show another example. So let us say we want to check the relationship between your address and student class. So let us say we have a student class. Inside that, let us say we have something like name. We have gender. And let us say we have another class, which is address. Inside that, let us say we have string city, string pin code, something, okay? Now we have to check the relationship between these two. So can you people tell me what is the relationship between these two classes? Yes, like DFG. I don't know what your actual name is. Can you people tell me what is the relationship between these two? Composition. Student has address. Student is the superclass and address is the subclass. Shashank, I'm not. Yeah, actually. You can link it with the inheritance completely. Very good. There is no relation, but we can call address. Correct. Right now, there is no relationship. But if you want, we can actually create the one. I hope now you people are finding it a little interactive and you're also able to see other people's messages. So I'm trying my best in order to fill in the gaps. So if you want to, you are just going to be putting address here. So now what we can say, what relationship we are fulfilling? Student has an address. So in this particular case, your has a is going to be there. So, if you talk about what and all, like if you remember when we were discussing about your inheritance, what is the relationship which I taught you at the time of discussing inheritance? Do you people remember? Yes. Like I just took some random fields so that I can show you two classes and all. Yes, guys. Now my question is, this is like a quick revision for you people. Can you people tell me when I was discussing about inheritance, what relationship did I tell you at that particular time? Very good. Is a. Yes, that is what I'm referring here. That is the reason I asked you this question. So, when you talk about is a relationship, so this is something which we refer as inheritance. And when you have a has a relationship, so this is something we call it as composition. All right. So when you inherit, like let us say, for the inheritance, let us say you are inheriting from your father. So when you inherit, like let me write also. So when you inherit your parents' property, then that is called as inheritance. All right. And when you try to change your future by working hard, that is called as composition because you were not having it actually, but now you want to do it. That is why you are taking some other classes object in you. All right. So what does it mean? Initially, you were not having it, but now you are trying to change the things. So you are composing somebody else in your own class. All right. Let me write that as well. So we can say when you try to change your future by working hard, then that is called as composition. So some people were actually saying that what if we take one class as the super class and another one as the subclass? So, in such a case, you're not using that class's object directly. If it is there in your parent, you can go ahead and use it directly. You do not need to compose that class in you. So you have to understand what the difference is going to be there. Are you guys clear with it? Composition. Is relationship similar to primary and foreign key? So, what example I actually gave you in such a scenario. Like I remember this was the example which I have given you. So what you can consider, so you can consider here the address class is the primary key for this particular, okay? When you are using it here, it is becoming your foreign key, right? Yes or no? Vineet, I'll come to aggregation and all as well. Like since we are discussing it, so better I cover it in a way that you are able to relate to it. Yes, tell me. Can we say like just for an example, can we say this address is a foreign key in the student class? Guys, yes or no? Even if you will say no, it's fine. If it is yes, then also fine, but say something. I believe you people send messages, but it comes here later because at one go only I see a lot of messages. Yeah. So you know what I was trying to explain you by the reference of foreign key and primary key is that, let us say we are deleting this class address. Will we have the same entry here or not? Like, will this class work if we are deleting this class for any of the reason? Correct. Then it will not compile. Even if you will try to delete it, right? They will give you error that do you want to remove the references and all. So this is what I was trying to explain you with the help of primary key and foreign key, that if you're deleting one key, let us say you're deleting your foreign key table at all. So this entry has to be deleted, then only it will work fine. So now is that example clear, public key and foreign key, like what I was trying to explain you with that? Yes, I believe the same. Yes, people. All right. So now, since you people are having doubts in the aggregation and all, so let me tell you about that as well. So, you know, when we discuss about this composition, so this composition, like if you talk about these three terms, composition, aggregation, association. So these three are actually related to each other. You can say your composition is composing aggregation and association. You can say aggregation is composing these two. Everything is actually composed by each other. So how it is actually? So this composition is going to be having your aggregation as well as it will have association. Now I'll tell you what is the difference between these two. So let's talk about association first. So when we talk about association, so you know, I'll just give you one uh, class. So let us say we have human body. Something is there in this human body. At the same time, let us say we have a class which is having a heart. Can you people tell me how these classes are going to be linked with each other? It will reflect here also. Can you people tell me what the relationship is going to be there between your heart and human body? Yes, one to one is Nitesh there, but this is something which I wanted to hear has a. So human has a heart. Now, this is something which we call as composition here. So like I was saying, these all are going to be interrelated. So this is what I was meaning by that term. So what we can say, human body has a heart. So this is the relationship between these two, and this relationship we call it as composition here. Now, can you people tell me one thing, that can a human heart work without a human body, or can a human body work without a heart? Like both of the situations, can it be possible? Very good. Strongly. So, when you have such a relationship where one thing is very dependent on the another one. So what do I mean to say here is, when I was discussing about composition, I told you the various ways of composition. So what we want to have a strong relationship. I'll list down what and all it is going to be there. But before that, let me complete this particular part. So we cannot have a heart without a human body. And such kind of relationship, we call it as association. Like, these definitions are something which you cannot like, you just have to understand from these definitions. For the proper bookish definition, you can find it everywhere. Is called as association. What does it mean? There has to be a link between the two, and it should not be making any sense separately. So when we talk about association, we have four types of relationships. One is one-to-one, like you people were saying. One relationship is going to be one-to-many. Then we will have many-to-one. And then we will have many-to-many. So either of one of these relationship has to be there in order to have the association. Also, in this particular way, for the association, we have two flows. So it can be your unidirectional, or it can be your bidirectional. Like just now we took the example of human heart. So a human body can be nothing without a human heart. But can we have a heart? Like, again, I'm not considering the scenarios where people donate their hearts and we preserve it for the surgeries and all. But if you will just have a heart in just a room, it is not going to be there. Obviously, it has to stop functioning. Even when doctors preserve it, they have certain ways of preserving it. They cannot just simply let it be there. So that is what I was trying to explain you with the help of these relationship. Yes, here it is going to be having a tight coupling. So if two classes cannot live without each other, if two classes cannot live without each other, never, then association. Correct. That is what is going to be there. Now let me explain you about aggregation. I hope my examples are helping you in understanding it. Then let us talk about your aggregation. So when we talk about aggregation, let me have two classes. One class, let us say I have college. And another class, let us say I have professor. Now, if you talk about the relationship between these two, can you people tell me what relationship is going to be there? Has a, correct. Yes, one-to-many and all. But if I'll ask you, like this correct, this question is like, this particular point is correct that we have a relationship of has a, but that relationship, college has a professor. So first of all, what do we have to do? We have to first of all check if we are having a has a relationship or not. But in this particular case, let us say for any XYZ reason, this college shuts down. Then what will professor do? Can we have a professor without a college? Very good, Aditya. So even if college shuts down, the professor is not going to end his career. He will go to some other college. So this means that even if college is not there, then also professor can have his own life. He can still have his own career. He can just go to some other college. So even though there is composition, but they are not dependent upon each other. So such kind of relationship, we call it as aggregation. When you have a good dependency, then we call it as association. When dependency is weak, in such a case, we call it as aggregation. So we can say, I'll just write on the last statement. So even though there is composition, but they are not dependent on each other. So such type of relationship is called as aggregation. Is everyone clear with it? Some people even call it as weak composition. Actually, Nitesh, they all are going to come under each other because they all are actually discussing about how the two classes are going to be linked with each other. So you can say it is coming under this one, that one, but ultimately how you are separating them out based upon the relationship between them. So first of all, the relationship has to be there. Then we are going to be talking about, like when we talk about composition, right? So in such a case, we just talk about having a relationship, having some dependency. It can be weak or it can be strong. When we talk about these two in such a scenario, again, composition is anyway going to be there. So you can see all these three are quite related to each other. Very slightly they are different. So that is why some of the times I have seen people getting confused. All right, clear everyone? Now we will be moving back to your solid. Aditya, I explained you just now. So here we are talking about composition. Your composition is your has a relationship. Inheritance is a relationship. So in inheritance, we are anyway going to get from our parent class. But in this particular one, we are going to be creating the object of the other class in our class in order to access their members. That is something is called as your association. And you know, in my interview, this was the question. So they gave me some scenario. I forgot exactly what the scenario was there. And they were asking me how you are going to link these two classes together. I was repeatedly saying that I will be using interfaces here. And the other guy who was taking my interview, he was repeatedly asking me, why not association? So the clear answer is, when we talk about your interfaces, so interfaces are loosely coupled. Whereas when we talk about association, so your association is tightly coupled. So you will have to look into your question, like what the requirement is, what the question is. Based upon that, you will have to answer. For that purpose, it is important to know how it is going to be behaving. Clear? Like at the time of explaining, I'm also including what and all types of things you can expect in your design rounds. Now let's come to your O. So your O stands for open closed principle. Can somebody tell me what it can be doing? Like according to you, anything, like whatever is coming in your mind. Closed is untouchable code and open is extension. Like you people are quite close to it. Like good, like your thought process is going in the right direction. So what it says that tomorrow you're going to be working on some software application. So any software application which you have, that particular one should be open for enhancements, open for the new features. At the same time, it should be closed for code changes. What does it mean? It means that, like, let us say you are having some of your already running application. So I talk about, like, let us say you are building some application and today you just have a login page in that. Tomorrow you may have to add a sign up page as well. But at the time of adding sign up page, you will have to ensure that it is not breaking the login page code. So what does it mean? It is going to be open for enhancements. Like if new feature is coming, that should be getting addressed. But at the same time, it should not be impacting your existing code change. So I'll actually write it down. This principle says that our code should be open for enhancement or feature addition, but at the same time, for making that change, it should not be impacting your existing code. You should be doing minimal change, but it should not change the entire implementation. Any questions in this? A class must be open for improvement closed. Correct. Very good, Amit. Actually, I am reading it little late, but you are right. So is this part clear so far? If yes, then I will link it with one example and I'll explain you. All right. So, I'll just take one example here that let us say you start one application, okay? And that particular application, let it be animal feeder. Let us say you just thought of helping all the dogs around you. So you thought of, let's start feeding the dogs. So in the beginning, what you are doing here, you are feeding dogs. So what will happen? Let me just create one class for the same. So let us say we have animal feeder class. And inside that, let us say I have a function which says public void feed dog. All right. So this is what you started with. Then let us say you started getting positive response from everyone. You started getting some of the funds in order to provide the same. So after getting all the funds, you just thought of adding the extension for the cats as well. So if you will see earlier, we just had the option of feeding dogs. Now you are adding the option of feeding cats as well. So what you will do, you will come to this class and instead of closing it here, you will provide one extension method for cats as well. So it will become public void feed cats. Here you will have feed cat method. So this is how you started doing it. But if you will see what we have done in such a scenario, in order to provide support for feeding the cat, I have changed the entire implementation. I have, like, if I'll have to push in my new changes, I will actually have to change my existing class, then only I am able to add the same. So far it is manageable when you are just having two animals. Now let us say I am now getting funds from all over the world. So what I will have to do, I will have to provide support for other animals as well. So now I have to provide support for all of the animals. So what I will have to do in such a case, I'll have to come back here, add a support for the same, and so on. That is how only I can actually provide support for the same. But every time what I will be doing, I will be modifying my class. So it is not a scalable solution. Every time I have to go and support a new class, I'll have to go and change the animal feeder class. So this is not a right approach, even though if you will run and see this code is going to work perfectly fine, but this is not a right approach. So can you people link it with the things which I have explained so far? Like, can you people just tell me about something like when I am trying to add a new animal support in such a case, how many principles it is violating? Can you guys tell me? Very good. If you will see, it is violating both of the principles. Here the actor is dog, here the actor is cat. So it is not at all even a single responsibility. And anyway, it is not at all following your open closed principle. So your open closed principle says that if you're adding a new feature, that is okay. But in the name of adding a new feature, you should not go and change the existing code. Now the question is, how do I fix the problem? You know what the problem is there. What can be the solution for this one? Very good, Sandeep. So the solution for the same is creating the interface. So I will write here. So the problems were violating SRP and violating open closed principle. So these two were the problems, and what was the solution for the same? To provide interface support. All right. So in such a case, what I can do, if I want to comply to your open close principle, so I will start a application that is going to be your animal feeder. So I'll actually be creating one of the interface for the same. So I'll have one interface at the animal level. So it will be public interface iAnimal. And let us say I have a method here, public void feed. All right. In order to provide other animal support, how I will be doing, I will be creating class for my animals, and that should be a class of this interface. So we can say now every element, now every animal should be a child for this interface. All right, I will quickly show you the working for the same. And please have a habit of naming a interface by I. It's not going to cause any mistake or anything, but it is a good practice of starting the interface with I. So let us say here we have public void feed. I already have some dog and animal or dog and cat class. Here I will be implementing my iAnimal. When I will be implementing it, it is going to be giving the error to provide support for the feed method. Here I will be just providing a message, feeding cats. Similarly, for my dog, I will be making the same change. And here, let us say I'm just providing feeding dogs. Now, if I want to, I'll create one animal feeder class as well. So in this animal feeder, what I will be doing, I'm just going to be calling my function, and that function I will be naming as public void feed animal. Now in this particular one, I will be taking iAnimal, like that interface object, as the parameter, and based upon whatever parameter is there, I will be invoking it out. So let us say with the help of this, I'm calling my feed. Now, if you want to see how the functionality is going to be there, so here I will be creating the object of my animal feeder class. And if I, let us say I want to call out my feed animal, so it is going to be expecting some object here. So let us say I want to call out for dog. If you will run, you can see the output. It is feeding dogs. If you want to see it for cat, just call it out with your cat object. Now, if you will run, you can see the output. So you can see now it is providing support for both your dogs and animal. So in future, if you have the requirement of adding new animals, you know, you just have to add a class and that class has to implement here. If you will see here also, we are not going to make change. From this main method only, we just have to call it out. So you can see we are able to add a new functionality. At the same time, we are not touching the existing classes. So this is what your open closed principle is going to be there. Any questions in this one? So tomorrow I'll try to cover entire L, I, and D. Let's see what and all we can cover. But my target is going to be to complete it, so that from the next week we can start your design patterns. Yes, Abhinav, you can even use abstract or you can use your interface. Both are going to be helpful because with the help of both, you can go ahead and provide the functionality for the same. Now, when we talk about all these things, you should be knowing when to use what. I mean, I have already covered the differences between your abstract class and your interface. At the same time, you know what is the difference between your abstract class and your inheritance. So you should be knowing what you are expecting out of it, right? So can you guys tell me one question? One second. First, I'll go through all your questions. Can we use pure abstract class? I think I replied right. Is it necessary to write public for feed method in the interface? Yes, Aditya. So when we talk about your interfaces, it has to be public. Where do you want to see? If you want, I'll reduce the view here. Actually, when we deal with multiple classes, it's difficult to show everything. So you can see, firstly, we created the animal class, animal interface, and then we created the classes. No. So you first see what the code is there. Then I will tell you how you can add a support for a new animal. And let's extend the class for 10 minutes, okay? Let's complete it. Then we will be closing it. Is adding feed functionality to cat classes violating SRP? So far, if you will see, it is not violating because we are just having one functionality. Like details is going to be there. Details, like you can have one thing is going to be their details. Even if you remember that SRP principle, what we were doing, we were passing details as the parameter. So details should be there in order to form a relationship between the two. So it's okay to have it. But if you will see here, we are just performing one action out of it, that is feed. If I will have some other function here, let us say adding new animal or something. In such a case, add like feeding is going to be one person's responsibility and adding a new animal is going to be or let us say like taking dogs to the vet or something. So that is somebody else's responsibility, right? Or giving medicines or something. Like if you will see, that is going to be a different functionality. A vet has to do the checkup and all. So a new actor is going to be involved. So Hemant, you know what override means. If you will see, we already have a function defined here. This function declaration we have done for the definition part, we are using it in our class. So when we perform it in such case, we actually provide a definition part for this. So that is why override comes here. If it is a function which is not at all here, in such a case, it is not going to create any problem. But if you already have it and you are providing a new definition here, you are actually overriding. Okay. All right. And somebody was asking about adding a new animal. So let us say I'll add a tiger here. So if I have a tiger, I just have to implement my iAnimal interface. I just have to provide support for this. Here I will be simply printing one message, feeding tigers. And I do not have to touch interface. I do not have to touch my cat, dog, anything. I do not even have to touch my animal feeder. I just have to call it out from here. So animal feeder, feed animal, new tiger. And if I will run, you can see I have added support for the tiger as well here. Understood? I studied that every method in an interface is public. So is it necessary to explicitly write public for the feed method? You will have to write. If you're not writing explicitly, so you know, by default, it takes internal, right? Like I forgot what is the by default one in Java and what is the by default in, like, I'm actually confused now. But in one, we consider that as, I think internal only is going to be there for both of the languages. So by default, if you're not putting it, it is going to consider it as internal. So you have to write explicitly public there. No, Abhinav, like if I talk about my even Microsoft project and all, right, we do define it as public. Great, you people are able to understand it. Now I'll just write down some of the explanation about it, which you can refer. Because you know, one thing which I have actually seen, solid principles theory, like even when I was going through it, I couldn't find it something good at one place with all the good examples. That is why I try to incorporate everything here. So we can say OSP, that is your open close principle. So it says that a software module or your class is open for extension and closed for modifications. All right. So here, what do we mean by open extension? It means when we are going to be, or I'll actually write it down that as well. So we can say here, open for extension means we need to design our module in such a way that the new functionality can be added only when the new requirement is there are generated or there anything. Okay. And closed for modification means we have already developed a class and it has, you must be remembering about unit test. So what unit test does, whenever we write down our code, in such a case, we check that particular code as a individual unit. And once it performs individually correctly, then we go ahead and perform our integration test. So that is why I'm saying here that if you have created a class and it has gone through unit testing, then we should not alter it until we find bugs. So we can say that as a class, it should be open for extensions and we can use inheritance for the same. All right, any questions in this? I have wrote down everything here for you people. Is there any sequence in which we can easily break a project and then apply solid? So, Kundan, there is like I should not be saying it here, but what is the thing with your software development and all? Not necessary, it will follow each and everything. So when we talk about your design principles, right? So it is like, this is how ideally everything should be there. But slowly, when you will progress ahead, you will see you cannot apply each and everything for your project. So in such a case, what we do, we see what our major requirement is there, and based upon we pick the principles. It is same like, let's talk about some good habits in a person. Not necessarily everybody will have all those, but those are the standard habits which everybody should be having. If you see, some people have one good habit, some people have two good habits, not necessarily they are going to be same. And how they get those good habits? From their families. Similarly here, based upon what the project is going to be there, it will be following these principles, but not every project is following all of these principles. It is going to be dependent, like let us say you are creating a project for a e-commerce. You will have to see, according to my e-commerce, what I should be adding there. So it varies project to project. And I know it may be confusing you. That is why I do not want to say it here. But tomorrow, when you will be learning about your patterns as well, then you will see if you're following a pattern, it may not be following your solid there. So again, how we are going to be overcoming it, I will be telling you all those points at that time. Okay. Yes, like everything is going to be happy, and as long as you're having loosely coupled code. Similarly, how if you will be setting a person free, when that person is going to be happy? When it is free, right? If it is not free, people will start making noise. All right. Any questions in this? Very good, Kundan. Like you actually understood it very well. I'll be uploading the notes on that Google Drive link. Everybody has that link. And I even share it with this team. So I hope they also upload it on their website. Actually, this is my first time teaching here. So a lot of things are quite new for me as well. Today is 23rd. So those people who do not have the link, I'll share it here. Oh, I think I cannot put the link here. No, I have the option of typing, but that will go to only one person. Just see if you people can. I do not know where it went. Anyway, I'll try to get this issue resolved. And I'll share anyway PDF link as well to the iNeuron team. All right. Okay, guys, then good night. We'll be meeting tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll try to I'll try to cover entire solid tomorrow so that we can go ahead. Yes, Pankaj, I got your point. I'll try to pass it on to the team. Okay. So good night, guys. Bye-bye. We'll meet tomorrow.